So today I'm doing things a little bit differently with regards to this video, and I'm going to be answering someone's question and specifically. So Teresa, hey Teresa, left a message on my last video yesterday saying, my goal is to be fit, not just weight loss, but fit. I'm 50 and I feel like I'm getting worse. So I asked Teresa, I left a comment on that asking what she means by fit, because to me, fit is cardiovascular, being able to maybe run a long distance or, run up the stairs without losing breath. That's what I see as being fit, but, we all have different ideas about that. So Teresa replied, yes, I actually want to build more muscle. Cellulite has taken over in certain areas and it's bothering me. I hear you. Plus, I feel stiff so often. My job is not too physically demanding, but I'm moving constantly for 8 to 10 hours. Wow, okay. So I want to take each of those points that you have brought up there and give you an answer, because I'm sure it's going to help more than just Teresa and me in all of this. So starting out with fitness. So you said yes, it is about fitness too, so cardiovascular fitness. Now to raise that VO2 max, that's how well your heart's beating and pumping the oxygen around and how much you can breathe and how much you can utilize that oxygen in your body. That's what makes you fit. That's what makes you able to run up the stairs without losing your breath. Or to, like me, running down the beach when it starts raining and I want to get under cover and I want to get back home as fast as I can because it's pouring down, and so I'll just start running. And I can do that, because I've got that baseline fitness there. Now, so starting out with that cardiovascular fitness, it has been shown to be best to at least 3 times a week be doing cardio. I would suggest doing it every day. But cardio, what is going to increase that cardiovascular, that fitness in that cardiovascular kind of fitness, is first of all doing zone 2 training. So zone 2, it's, if you've got a fitness tracker, it will tell you where that is for you, but it's pretty lightweight stuff. It can be going for a brisk walk, it can be going for a slow jog. It can be like riding my bicycle around. That does it for me too. And so you can get some of that in. I would suggest to do that every single day. That might be the kind of activity that you're doing every single day as well, Teresa. You say you're always moving. So yeah, you could be getting a lot of that in. So you've probably got that covered. But for those of you that don't, for those of you sedentary that sit down, like I'm making my videos and I'm sat down all the time when I'm doing it. And so there's not a lot of movement. So I counteract that by doing more. I get out of the house and I do, my only form of transport is my bicycle. And so I'm doing that often. But that's, I live on a small island, so they're just short journeys. I'm only riding 20 minutes would be the tops for me to get from one end of the island to the other end of the island. But if I'm going shopping, it might be a 40-50 minute ride and going, supermarket, this supermarket, that supermarket from home and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, you're wanting to really do that every single day. And so a really good way of doing that for those of you that aren't incorporating that at the moment is after a meal to go for a brisk walk. And the reason I'm saying after a meal is because it really helps your the glucose levels as well. So when you eat a meal, your blood sugar rises, and so if you're having that brisk walk right after a meal, and it doesn't have to be for long, you could go for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, that's all. But that's going to increase your cardiovascular fitness. It's also going to help your blood use that glucose energy that you've taken in through your meal as well, and so help you if you're on your way to diabetes as well, which we all kind of are, because our bodies get less and less able to handle in particular carbohydrates and that the glucose rise that we get. So it's going to help you out with all of that. So ideal time. So if you can incorporate a brisk walk after a meal, or after every meal, you could do a 10-minute walk after every meal. That would be ideal, really. And so sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll do that myself. Is like I'll have breaks in between making my videos to eat something. Like I just had my breakfast before recording this, and then instead of sitting down and doing this video like I'm doing now, I'll just perhaps go and get the flour for the picket card read that I'm going to do. And when I go out there to get that, I'll do a few laps of and just walk a little briskly out there just to do that. I don't like to do that too much though, because it's stinking hot and I get sweaty and I'll ruin my makeup on my hair. So that's my excuse. What's yours? So there is that. Brisk walking, that can get your zone 2 in, or a light jog. Just depends how fit you are, you see, because it'll be a walk. The less fit you are, what will get you into zone 2 will be a walk. And then the fitter you get, you'll have to go faster to get into that same zone. So the fitter you get, the more you have to exert yourself, because you get better at it, right? And so there's that. There's also high intensity as well. Now, I do high intensity 3 times a week, and I think that is a good thing to do 3 times a week. So you're doing zone 2, that light exercise every single day. That's going to build your cardiovascular strength up for sure. But also high intensity, whether that is burpees or something like that, or Muay Thai, as I do it. Something that is really taking you all out. It can be sprint training as well, and it's not comfortable. It is not comfortable. I suggest finding something that you really enjoy doing, because it's going to be hard. Even like, I love doing Muay Thai, but that pushing myself is what, when I go to the high intensity, the top of my heart rate, and it's kind of a competition between all my trainers who can get my heart rate higher. When the trainer is pushing me, and so when I feel like slowing down a little bit, they're saying, come on, come on, come on. And that's the good thing about Muay Thai, or when you've got a trainer pushing you like that. So something like a rather than doing it by yourself, is what I'm saying, a HIIT class or something like that might be good for you. I'm pretty good at being able to push myself like that, but we've all got our limits. It's natural to want to pull away from getting to those really high rates, heart rates, and just kind of quit and give up. But if you can find a class or something like that to do 3 times a week, or as often as you can, really, less than that, 2 times a week, once a week, just as much as you can, that is going to build that fitness. Now, next up, you say that you want to build more muscle as well. Right, building more muscle. Caroline Gervin, the fitness lady, the trainer that I follow on YouTube. I found her first on YouTube. I started doing her programs on YouTube, and in COVID times, when I started buying weights, you can see them down there. I would highly recommend her. You can go at your own pace, and you can start with whatever weights. Now, she has got a beginner's class, and it's available free on YouTube. I will link the first video up there for that. And you can just get some weights for at home. Now, the reason I recommend that, doing it at home rather than going to the gym, number one, it's easier to get it done, because you're only expending the time that thing is, that the workout is, instead of, having to get yourself to the gym and get yourself back and all of that kind of thing. So I do prefer doing it at home. Now, you can start out with just some light weights. I'll show you the weights that I started out with. So when it was COVID times, the owner of the gym here on the island, one of the gyms, was selling some of the equipment that they had, barbells, just there was like group fitness classes that were incorporating some barbells and some light weights like this. Now, this is 3 kilograms, and there was 2 kilograms as well. So I got 2 of the 3 kilograms and 2 of the 2 kilogram weights, and I started like that. And yeah, you can start out just by you can get them on Amazon or anywhere, and they're not expensive. I would recommend getting this type, the smaller type, that are kind of coated with whatever, plastic coated, rubber coated, I think they call them, rubber coated weights that are like this, rather than the bigger ones. I do have, as I've added to my collection, I've not been able to get all the same kind of weights. I like the hexagonal ones there, they're the heavier ones. But what I did was I just started adding to my collection. And you can tuck these, as I do, like underneath tables and stuff like that, and have them handy, and then you can just pull them out. I would say don't go for anything more than like your 3 kilograms, or if you're going in pounds, that would be whatever, I don't know, 6, 7, something like that. Start out with the lightweights first, and then follow one of those programs. She has a guide of when to do them, how often to do them. But if you do them whenever you can, like I do them in order. You see, the thing is, when you've got a trainer like that, they know how to hit all the muscle groups and how to make it a well-rounded program. So you want to do each of the workouts, but you don't have to do it on their timing. You know, if she's saying do it 5 days a week, you don't have to do it 5 days a week. You could do it like me. I do it 3 times a week. That fits in better for me. I tend to do it on my work days, as I'm going to do an upper body workout today as well. But I would just suggest doing that, because you'll get it done more often. Because if it's not convenient for us, then we're not going to get it done, right? And the reason that I do it at home, yeah, I built up my collection of my weights at home because of COVID, but it's just convenient. So I can do it like on a work day. So when I've been making all my tarot videos and then I've finished and there's videos uploading and stuff, like there's still stuff going on my computer, and I'm editing these videos now and all of that kind of stuff. I can do my workout here. And then if the computer needs my attention to upload the next thing or whatever, I can do that too. Or you put the washing on or whatever in between sets. Because when you're doing strength training, she has you doing like one set, which will be, I don't know, you'll maybe get 20 repetitions in or something like that. And then you've got like a 30, 45-second break. You can go off and get something done. That's what I do. It's like, oh, I just need to like sort that thing out in the kitchen or get that chicken out for later, you know? And that's what I do. So I find it so handy to be able to do these workouts at home, which is why I do my strength training at home. I do have a gym membership, because with my Muay Thai membership, each time I get that, I get to use the gym there, which I did when I had that shin problem. I used the gym once just to get some cardio in, because it's air conditioned in there without sweating so much. I wanted to get some cardio in because I really missed doing that. But yeah, I'd much prefer to do them at home, so I'd highly recommend doing that. If you want some more help about what to choose, what equipment to choose, I would just like check out Caroline Gervin's YouTube channel, and she talks before the videos and stuff, saying what you'll need, and she's great. She's such a nice person too, and it's so cool. Yeah, and you do the workouts with her, so she's doing it at the same time. She's not talking through it. She talks before it to get you ready of what you want and what the movements will be. But then she just kind of mimes to you like 2 more and things like that. It's really great. I find it really great to do her stuff. And as I said, it's free on YouTube, so you might as well. I pay for her app now, but you don't have to. You can just use this loads. She's got loads of programs on YouTube. It's fantastic. So I would recommend doing that for strength training. Then you can go at your own pace, or if you want to, you could get yourself a personal trainer. If you want to get a gym membership and get a personal trainer, they will give you a program and take you through that too. And that might be really useful, especially if you've not done weight training before, because then they can show you like proper form. Because Caroline will show you proper form, but nothing beats like someone actually watching you going, oh, you're hitching your shoulder up there, Claire, because I can tend to get this muscle involved, especially on the left hand side, when it shouldn't be involved. So like if I'm doing something, I can be like that, and a trainer can tell you like lower your shoulders or elbows in or something like that, you know. So if you are just starting out with strength training, I would do that. So I would say 3 times a week strength training, 3 times a week high intensity too. I wouldn't do those on the same days, but you could do if you want to. If you wanted to go to the gym, do some weights, then some cardio to get your high intensity, do some sprint intervals on a treadmill, you could do that. You could do that if you want to do that. But yeah, that is going to build you up. Start where you're at and just start doing it, and that is going to build up your fitness, your strength, and it's also going to help your body to get better at using your fat and also the glucose too. So it does tend to sort out, when you've got that exercise nailed in there, it does tend to sort out your eating as well. Which brings me to the next thing, which you mentioned was cellulite. Cellulite, and we all have it, don't we? It's the way that women lay down fat. I've got some at the top of my legs, at the back and on my butt. It's the way that we lay down fat, and it's got something to do with, fat accumulates underneath the skin, and I don't know, there's some like stringy stuff or whatever, and it's just the fat like pushing around that. It's like abs I've got that definition, and it looks different on everyone because it's just something in front of the muscle. The muscle isn't in separate portions like that. It's one big muscle kind of thing, but it kind of pokes through other stuff like that. And cellulite is exactly the same thing. So the only answer to cellulite is to reduce the fat. So losing fat. Now, how can you lose fat? Back to the building the muscle as well. It's about your diet, of course. To lose fat, we need to get in a calorie deficit. To get in a calorie deficit, the easiest way, and to build muscle too, is you need to up your protein. How much protein should you be eating every day? Well, the recommendations say way too little. That's like how not to die. How that the recommendations that every country has got of protein intake is based on people like prisoners of war. It seriously is. It's like bare minimum so that they don't die. That is not brash. You cannot build muscle on that or anything. So they're way too low. And when people are saying, oh, we don't need any more than that, like that's the ideal. That's not the ideal. That was never meant to be the ideal. That's bare minimum. And most of us aren't even getting that. What we should actually be eating, if we are exercising and all of that and building muscle and being healthy, and also to curb our hunger so that we can lose fat, is about 1 gram per pound of body weight. For those of you like me in sensible countries that use kilograms, that is half a gram for every kilogram of body weight. It's about that anyway. And so for me, I don't know how many pounds I am. Let me just find out. I'm 130 pounds, and I get at least 130 grams of protein a day. So I track using MyFitnessPal just to make sure that I get the right amount of protein, and 130 to 150, bare minimum 130 for me. So I would go off that 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Really, if you're really overweight, then it doesn't mean you need a whole more protein. A load more protein. It's ideal body weight. And so if you're doing that, if you're eating that amount of protein, not only will your strength training, you'll actually build that muscle with strength training, because if you don't put in here what your body needs to build that, and we are what we eat, we're an animal. We are actually an animal, so we need to eat animals, because animals and the muscle meat is exactly what is required to build the muscle, right? It makes sense. And so if you're eating that, then you'll be able to build that muscle. Muscle uses more calories than fat does in our body. So you'll start transforming your body so it's less fat and more muscle as you do that. And your basal metabolic rate, in other words, how many calories you can eat a day, will start going up the more muscle that you've got. If you're overweight and you start reducing fat, yes, your body weight is going to start going down. You're going to start needing less food as you do that. You see, what most people do is when they're losing weight, they'll just eat less, and they tend to eat less protein too, just like cutting out meals and things like that, not keeping the protein really high, but just reducing kind of everything. And when you do that, it's like a crash diet kind of a thing. You lose fat and you lose muscle. And then when you start eating normally again, because no one can keep that up, you've got less muscle. And so that means that your metabolic rate, the amount of calories to keep your body alive at rest, is less than it was before you started. And so as people lose weight, you will lose muscle as well as you're losing weight. You just will. But to counteract that, you need to keep your protein really high. And protein satiates you too as well. So it's just a good thing. Now, animal protein, I would highly recommend that. I have whey isolate in my breakfast, in my overnight oats every single day, and a scoop of collagen as well, so that it's a high protein breakfast. Whey isolate is very fast acting, so you'll see people having protein shakes right after a workout, because it's fast acting, so the body can process whey isolate or whey, the powders and stuff very fast and make the muscle. And that's great after a workout, but it's not so great if you're having it for a meal the rest of the time. Now, when you mix it with something else, like something more slow digesting, like oats and things like that, I mix it with chia seeds and all kinds of things. I'll be putting out a recipe for that for you all, in case you want that. I know at least one of you does want to know that recipe, so I'll be doing that tomorrow. Check that out on my channel. But if you're mixing the faster digesting proteins with other things, it's going to slow it down. So hence my breakfast isn't a hit and then I'm hungry, you know, for hours before my lunch. It's not. It's more of a, it makes it more of a slow release. Anyway, meats and things like that. So if you could be eating fish, chicken, beef. You want to go for leaner cuts, really leaner, like turkey mince or leaner minced beef. I do tend to get. We don't have any choice of minced beef here. We get it as it comes. I don't know what percentage of fat it is, but most countries you have a choice now whether you want the leaner meats or not. You can go for the leaner ones. That's going to be, you'll save quite a few calories by doing that. But yeah, I would recommend tracking your food, weighing it out, because until you get an idea of what you're actually having, you won't know what you're having, and you won't know where those extra calories are coming from. So with cellulite, it is all about being in a calorie deficit, and your exercise is going to help that too. But eating protein just helps everything. Like it really does. And of course, eating cleanly as well, that's going to help you. And what do I mean by eating cleanly? I'm talking about eating one food, like one ingredient foods, like apples, like chicken, just real food, not processed stuff. Processed stuff, just a little bit, keep away from it as much as you can, and try and choose the healthier options with all of that too. Also, oils, liquid fats, so dangerous. Like so dangerous. There's so many calories in them. When you start tracking your food, it's like, holy crap. You might think that like going to a fast food restaurant and having a salad is better for you, but if you see what they put in their dressings and the liquid fat, it's such high calories, and it's not, those things are not good for you. I stay well away from those seed oils. I only have extra virgin olive oil, ghee, which is clarified butter, and what else? A little bit of coconut oil, not so much. Avocado oil sometimes I'll use, but I tend to use ghee now, clarified butter in my cooking. But yeah, staying away. If I have a salad, it tends to be on a wrap, and so the dressing on that is with Greek yogurt. I do get mayo for my boiled egg wraps, but that's an avocado, so it's one made with avocado oil. Most mayonnaises will have the seed oils that can be really disruptive. The seed oils are disruptive to us because, well, they're man-made and they're meant to be engine oil for starts. Like they're so processed, like they're made in a lab. And it affects our DHA. So you know how omega-3s are very good for us, for our brain health, for our cellular health, and all of that kind of thing. The omega-6s that all of these seed oils are high in, it disrupts that. It disrupts the good fats that our body needs, and so it's not a good idea to be having those. And so unfortunately, pretty much everywhere that you'll eat out is using those oils. So this is why I eat at home most of the time. So be careful of oils. Be very careful of oils. What else to lose weight? Well, I'll be talking more about the weight loss thing, but prioritizing protein, that's going to help your muscle growth. It's also going to help your satiety, and start tracking just to see what you're eating. It's a pain in the ass because you have to weigh everything out and measure everything out at first. But you start getting an idea, and I'll tell you, some of the things you're just like, I'm not eating that. It's not worth it. There was something, I can't even remember what it was when I started tracking. There was something that I was eating, and I was like, no way. There's no way I'm eating that. I know what it was. It was coconut, a fresh coconut. So if I go out to a cafe here, I used to stop off when I was on my morning walks at a cafe and have a fresh coconut, thinking this is really healthy. Drinking the young coconut water and then scooping out the flesh and eating that. Just a little bit of fruit, right? Holy crap, the amount of calories in that. I couldn't believe it when I started tracking. I'm like, I'm not having them anymore. That is like a treat. I didn't realize that's like worse than having like a whole bar of chocolate. No shit. It's worse than having a whole bar of chocolate. So it can be amazing once you start tracking, just like things that you think is nothing, and it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And so it gets you clued up. It gets you clued up on portion sizes, what is a correct portion size as well. And yeah, I got myself like a nesting set of cups, of measuring cups, and I got myself a couple of sets of those because in some of my foods I leave the correct measuring cup for a portion of that, so I can scoop it out so that I don't have to guess. Because if you don't, your portion size will get bigger and bigger and bigger and creep up. Now I have a high protein pasta that's made out of like red lentils and beans and stuff. I'd highly recommend that over wheat pasta. Wheat pasta, that's another thing that when you start tracking it, you'll be like, oh, that's a whole lot of calories and not a whole lot of anything else, and I can't have very much of it, and it's not worth it. But the high protein pasta that's made out of red lentils or beans, it's got much better macros to it. And I weigh it out every time, because it's pretty much 1 gram is one like twist of pasta, and I'll have 60 grams in a meal. 60 of those pieces of pasta isn't very much at all. I still will keep on weighing that out, because it surprises me every single time how little it is. And I mix it with vegetables. So I will boil that pasta up with broccoli and cauliflower, because otherwise it would be a tiny meal. Fill it out with vegetables, fill those things, so you can still have the stuff that you enjoy, but you can have better choices. But tracking using MyFitnessPal or any other app, it's well worth it, because once you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. Once you know like those things that you haven't even realized are really high calorie, then once you realize it, you'll be like, it's not even worth it. Especially if you're losing weight and so you've got like a calorie amount per day, you'll be like, well, I don't want to waste my calories on that, because that's just a snack. And I could have a meal and that would satiate me for a longer time. And so you can start like seeing what's actually going on way better. But yeah, cellulite, it's horrible, I know. I've still got some, and my body fat percent is pretty low, but I've still got some. I am trying to lose at the moment. I am actually losing, not just trying, I'm actually losing fat at the moment. So, and that's the thing too, is don't go too fast. Don't do like massive calorie deficits, because you're not going to be able to keep it up, and you don't want to wreck your metabolism either. So the thing is, your body gets used to it, right? And so only do a little calorie deficit, because you don't want your body to go, okay, I'll adjust, and we're only eating this amount now, otherwise I'm going to get fat on you if you start eating more. You don't want to reset your body like that to much less food. Another thing that I use as well is time restricted feeding, which is, I find it easier to ignore my hunger in the morning, because you can have coffee, right? And you can drink water as well, and that tends to help too, but I can ignore that. And so I just had my breakfast. It was about 11 o'clock when I had my breakfast this morning. I had coffee before that, and I just find it easier to do a calorie deficit by just starting eating later. I don't do it on my Muay Thai days. I eat breakfast before I go to that, but on the work days when I'm just sat here, I might as well delay my breakfast. Might as well. I find that easier. I mean, I'll wake up hungry, but I can have coffee and then I can ignore that. The hunger goes away. I just find it easier like that. So you might want to give that a go too, in delaying your breakfast. But not every day. Don't do that every day, otherwise your body's going to get used to that and go, okay, we only eat this amount, and that's my new set point. And if you ever eat breakfast, I'm going to get you fat. Got to be really careful. What we want to do is teach our bodies to be like a high level of exercise, a high level of nutrients coming in pretty much consistently, and then we want to lose. It's just like, well, I won't eat my breakfast for a couple of days that week, and then I'm back to normal again. Or I'll just drop my calories just a little bit every day, and then I'm back to normal again, so that we don't wreck our metabolism. This is why people have such trouble when they're on crash diet. It's that yo-yo thing. It's like that's why the yo-yo happens as soon as they start adding more foods in. The metabolism has gone down because of the diet that they've done, and the body just starts stacking it on. It's like, oh, you starved me, and so now you're eating more. I'm going to lay the fat down. So I'm lucky that I've never been on a diet like that. I haven't needed to. I have got to a point in the past where I wasn't eating enough for the amount of exercise that I was doing, but I soon learned about that too. which is something you've got to be careful of as well. I wouldn't recommend eating more when you're exercising more. Just stay at where you're at, or at a slight deficit. So find out where you're at the moment by logging it all. That would be a really good way to be. And when you get one of those apps, it will ask for your body weight and your height and all of that kind of thing, and it's going to make an estimate, a guesstimate of how many calories you should be eating a day based on that. And it is kind of right. I think it slightly underestimates mine, which is good, because then it has me in a slight deficit if I'm meeting those numbers. So there you go. That's about cellulite and the building muscle. So I hope that helps you out as well. And I'm hoping that my channel inspires you to keep at it as well, so that we can be in this together. If you're watching me working out each day, you might think, oh yeah, I'll stop watching YouTube, or I'll switch it to Caroline's channel and I'll just pick up some weights. It does make you feel better too. It brings energy, and that's the thing too. If you're feeling like you're lacking energy, you will when you do nothing. Hey, when I had my shin injury, I felt it too. I wasn't exercising and my energy was going down. So just as you think, like, I don't have the energy to exercise, no, it's the other way around. Exercise energizes you. And people think, oh no, it's food that gives you energy. No, it's not. Food doesn't give you energy. It makes you sluggish. It does. It makes you sluggish. So turn that around in your mind. So hopefully that answered your question and gave you something to go off. Put it down in your diary. Try and get into habits of these things. That's how I do it. Have it fit in with my rest of my routine, so it's like a habit. Like today, there's no question I'm doing an upper body workout. I am. Because if I don't do that, so I'm doing an upper body workout and then I'll train Muay Thai in the morning. My legs are recovered finally 2 days after the leg workout, strength workout that I did. They weren't yesterday, but if I do my upper body today, then I'll be back on for another, maybe on Sunday or on Monday, for a leg workout again, because they're the ones that I don't look forward to. But I love upper body training, so let's do it now. Okay, so I just completed that workout, upper body workout, and I wanted to show you what I did. And so I'll go through the movements because I want to give you some top tips as well while I'm doing it. So we started out with some slightly different back exercise, which is a row, but pulling it back toward the hip. And so no particular top tips about this one. I'm using a pretty heavy weight there. So we did 3 sets of reps on either side doing that. Then some upright rows. I'm using pretty heavy weights for this workout. I wanted to kind of push myself. So we're going for progressive overload, meaning you're either adding on the amount that you're doing, like the number of times you're doing it, or increasing the weight. And so once you can do it like a lot without the burn and, wanting to stop, then it's time to up your weight. So I'm going slightly heavier than I usually would today. So upright rows for next. These ones. I'm going slowly on the hardest part of it, is what we were focusing on today. That's with 7.5 kilograms for me. And then next up, with my 10 kilogram weights. This was hard. Let's move a little bit closer. You can see it better. Okay, so Arnold press with these. So when you're lifting heavy weights up, because these are 10 kilograms, and so this is kind of hard on my wrists. I can't just move it like any other weight. I've got to use a bit of momentum to get them into place first of all. And so putting them on your knees, and then you can use your legs, because the leg muscles are stronger than the arm muscles. Can you use your legs to hitch it up a little bit? So I'm getting them to this. Okay, and then Arnold press. It's and then we're going down slowly. You can't really see that on the camera, but going down really slow. So they are heavier than I'd usually use that. So we did those ones. And then, look at this weight. Can you see it's kind of bent over? It's kind of cute. They're only 4 kilograms, these. They're massive to be 4 kilograms. They don't need to be this big. But I just kind of liked the way it was bent like that when it arrived, and it's too cute. It's like a cartoon of a weight, so I couldn't bring myself to send it back. Anyway, so then another back of the shoulder exercise here. Those ones. And so those 3 exercises together, we did a few sets of those. And then, let me see. I think that on the floor, if I'm remembering rightly, using my 10 kilograms. Okay, I've got a top tip for this one. So we were doing diagonal presses. So in order to get these up in the air, again, I'm going to use my legs. So getting them onto my legs first of all, like that. And so I'm going to lay back and push them up into the air at the same time, using my leg muscles like that. By far the easiest way to get them up there. Because when you start using the heavier weights, they're really hard to get up. So then we were using these. We're doing these ones. I'm pausing down toward the chest. So we were pausing and doing the hardest part of these slowly. And then a small break from that and straight into a very similar exercise, but a chest press. So those 2 exercises together, we did a few sets of those. That's very tiring. Now this is a lighter weight than I'd usually use for the chest press, but straight after doing those diamond chest presses, it feels harder when you're using the same muscles. So we did them ones. Then into lateral raises. Then we did a lot of lateral raises. So let me show you that. These ones. So I went on a lighter weight this time. Usually I'd use my 4 kilogram weights for my lateral raises, but I knew we were going to do a lot. And because of my shoulder injury last year, which was a rotator cuff injury, still my left shoulder is still weaker than the right shoulder. There's certain movements that I know to be careful with. So the first movement she had us doing was full range of the lateral raises, meaning going right up to the top above our heads, which is why I selected the lighter weight. So I would usually go with 4 kilograms for this, but went down to the 3 kilograms just because doing it up there and then continuing on. Fine on my right shoulder. My left shoulder just needs to build up a bit more strength there. So I'm always selecting my weights based on the movements. So lateral raises. And then after like 1.5 minutes of those, we did partials. I think it was like 2 minutes of partials like this, and it really gets your arms burning. And then after a short break, we did regular laterals, which is just there up to shoulder height, which is hard enough, especially after you've done like 1.5 minutes of the other ones. And then again, 2 minutes of these partials, really getting your arms burning. And then she had us do it again, but cheat reps this time to keep going, because now arms are just wrecked, right? And so using cheat reps, so instead of just like holding your body and then doing it just with your arm muscles, actually like flinging them up there a little bit so that you can do a little bit more. we did a couple of minutes of cheat ones like that to really finish them off, you know? And then and then partials again for 2 minutes. It was a lot. It was a lot. So I want to stop that right now. And then we did some abs work. Let me show you that. Whee! Abs. Now my core is really strong because of Muay Thai. Muay Thai gets you really strong. So ab work for me is great. It's easy. Kind of easy. So we did a few minutes and do as many as you can. 20 of these. The slower you do it, the harder it is. So lifting the head up and really gets to those core muscles. 20 of those ones. I can't count. I haven't kept count anyway. And then to these, 20 of those. And so we just kept on going with 20, 20, 20, 20 until the time was up. Like that. Oh, and now I get to do the cool down. Good workout. Did it fully dress. It's a bit cooler today. It's raining out there, and so I don't need to wear a bikini today. I had the fan on before, but I've turned it off so it doesn't interrupt. It doesn't mess up the microphone. And so that's it, upper body workout. I love doing upper body because I feel really strong in my upper body, and it pumps me up as well. That pump, your muscles get like full of water and glycogen and stuff and blood, and it makes you look like you're real muscly once you've done a workout. It wears off after an hour or so, but feel all hunky once you've done it. So now I need some stretching because all of those lateral raises, it's got to my traps, and if I don't do a lot of stretching now, especially of the neck, it'll give me a headache later. So I might even get my percussion massager out and give it a few bashes as well, just to relax those muscles. So that's it. That was my workout today. If you're thinking of starting strength workouts, especially with Caroline, these programs, she's great. She's great. I really recommend it, doing her programs. But yeah, start with the light weights. You really don't need much at first. And sometimes you will, like I'm still using like the first weights that I got. When I had a damaged shoulder, I even bought some 1 kilogram weights as well, because I really could hardly lift anything with it in certain movements. But I need to make those movements stronger, so I got 1 kilogram weights, which it hardly seems worthwhile to when you lift. But when you've got an injury, yeah, you can feel even 1 kilogram. So start where you're at. Now, she always says what weight she's using in her workouts. Some of the movements I'm using the same weights as her. So like the 10 kilogram movements for some of it, she was using 10 kilograms. Some of the movements she can lift way heavier than me. So I just base what I'm lifting based on what she's got and based on what I know I can lift and where my weak spots are as well. So some things she just lifts really heavy and I just can't on those movements, because she's all round strong, I think. So yeah, some of the movements I'm matching her weights, but I wasn't when I first started her workouts, nowhere near. I used to halve it when I first started. I used to look at what she was using and then just about halve it. And I was strong to start with. I was already used to lifting weights, but not doing programs like this. So that's just to give you an idea. Anyway, you can look at her videos before, even if you haven't got any weights, you can look at her videos first. And see what she's using and just get an idea of what you might need for it. Because I love it. I love doing it at home, especially if you've got space like this. And other than that, you'd need a mat. I got this bench. It is really handy. I've got to say that it is really handy. Before, I was using like this stool, but it isn't big enough and it's not sturdy enough, and it's all stained as well from wearing wet bikinis on it. But the chair I use and that stool, but getting this bench was really good. I got this when I had my shoulder injury because I wanted, it's adjustable and you can put it down to lift different levels. It wasn't very expensive, and so I was able to do like a chest press all at different angles like that to build up build my shoulder back up with those very light weights. So it was really handy for that, and it's really handy for these workouts too. So that would be down the line, getting equipment like that, you know. But yeah, my house is pretty much like a gym, like an office gym, living space. So there you go. I hope I've inspired you to get going on, especially the strength stuff. 3 times a week, that's all it takes, especially if you're doing like programs like this. So that was back and shoulders, abs, and chest. Like no biceps or triceps this time. Oh, the triceps got a little bit involved with with that one. But yeah, the next upper body one, it was probably going to be more biceps, triceps, that kind of thing, push-ups perhaps, and things like that. So she does like mix it all up so that you're not working the same muscles each time. So There you go. I'm going to get on with the rest of my day. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and all of that kind of thing. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be making things tomorrow. My breakfast overnight oats recipe is coming up tomorrow. So I'll catch you then.